Sheryl, thank you so much for joining me on the Salon Owners Collective podcast. Very nice to have you back.
My absolute pleasure. It's been way too long, Larissa. Must have been about 3 years, I think.
Well, before we get started, talking about probably one of the biggest and the hardest topics of the industry is employing, recruiting, finding, employing and keeping staff. Let's start with, well, who are you, Sheryl? Where are you in the world? What do you do? How did you get to be doing it?
Okay, thanks, Larissa. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sheryl Lee-Woodhouse Gardner. I started up this business about 11 years ago. My background's in the corporate industry. I've worked in recruitment. I started working for a girlfriend who had a recruitment company in the hair and beauty industries, and she needed help. So I found out pretty quickly that this industry is a lot different to the corporate industry. The staff turnover is a lot more, and people need a lot more help in a different way. So, as I said, started up about 11 years ago, and we help people all over Australia and in New Zealand. We've got a pretty good reputation in the industry, and it's been very challenging, as we'll chat about afterwards, but it's great. It's great. We've got some fantastic clients. We're branching more into New Zealand, predominantly in Australia at the moment.
Nice. Well, look, let's talk about the topic of employing great staff, because it seems to me that even when I was a brand new salon owner many years ago, and when I sold not so many years ago, it's been a problem throughout my whole life as a business owner. And now as a business coach, I help owners find team members, but it's always a roadblock, and it always feels like this massive mountain to climb. And the initial thought is that there's nobody out there, which is not true, because there are salons full of team members. It's about finding the right people and finding anybody. So I really wanted to bring you on and talk about this, especially in the current environment. We're kind of heading into the 2-year mark around COVID, living with COVID, and the shift that has happened because of that. And I think it's made, as we were talking before, a big change to our industry and the teams that we employ. And so I want to really explore that. Do you want to start with sharing, like, what are the changes that you've seen? What is happening in the industry? What is happening to our staff? Where are they going? Why is it so hard to find people?
Well, lots of really good questions, Larissa. First of all, please know that it's not just our industry. It's across the board. I was watching on a morning show the other day about the hospitality industry, and one guy had a cafe up in Queensland, I think it was, and he had to become very creative about finding staff. He couldn't find anyone. People are so scared. They're very fearful after what we've been through with COVID over the last 2 years. They're trepidatious about moving. We don't know if there's going to be any more lockdowns, if there's another wave. People are scared. And when they're scared, they normally freeze. They don't do anything. They just want to sit and take it all in, and it's really, really weird. So anyway, going back to this guy, he had to become very creative. He put out all these ads, couldn't find anyone. So in the end, he did some creative thinking. And it's not for everybody, and you may or may not like these ideas, but these are just some ideas. He ended up making sure that the rate of pay was really good. I think he put it up to like $40 an hour or $50 an hour to get people to apply. And then he even added on a bar tab of $1,000 to get them to come in, which sort of drew them over the line. They had a couple of young girls, and they said they were working in admin. They wanted to go back in hospitality, and that was a draw card. So that's what I'm saying to some of our salon owners. I think the base rate of pay in the hair and beauty industry is about $23 from Monday to Friday. Now, we're working long hours on our feet, listening to everyone's stories, becoming a psychologist, working late nights, Saturdays, some Sundays, whereas you can get a cushy job working in an admin office and getting $30 an hour, working 9 to 5. So if we want people to work in our salon, we've got to look after them. We've got to entice them. It's a little bit like fishing. We've got to make sure that the rate of pay is enticing, flexibilities with some rostered Saturdays off, even things like a sign-on bonus after a probation period. The more creative, the better. Things like gym memberships, iPads after a certain time. I think if you check with your accountant, you're allowed to give a voucher up to $300 on an irregular basis and claim it through your taxation as well. So it's a claimable expense. So it's really important. It's a bit like dating. I like to use this analogy. When we're dating as women, we put on our makeup, we look gorgeous, wear nice perfume. We've got to entice that person or that person's to us. And that's really, really important. So that's...
Yeah, okay. Yeah, for sure, because the environment at the moment is that people, as you were saying to me before, leaving the industry, they're starting to take more administrative roles, or maybe they're moving home to serve clients from a home environment because they can get away from the lockdowns and all.
Yeah.
And what was interesting to me is that you also mentioned that there's less job hopping within the industry because people are either staying put or they're leaving the industry. Do you want to speak to that a little bit? What's that driven from, do you think?
Well, once again, fear. It's all fear-based at the moment, Larissa. They, if they go and work in a salon, if they move from, say, now to go and work into a salon, there could be another COVID outbreak. There could be another COVID lockdown. So that's really scary. They'd rather stay where they are or work from home, because then they don't have to worry about if there's a lockdown again, they're still working from home. And if there is a lockdown in a salon again, how are they going to pay? If, like over in Melbourne, they were locked down for months and months and months, how are they going to get paid while they're in lockdown? We don't know what's going to happen. So it's fear. People are frozen, as I said before. Until we come through, the vaccinations rates get up, whatever, and we get through all this, we're going to find this fear and trepidation in our society, which hopefully will finish next year. And then next year is going to be totally different again. So we'll need to talk about managing that as well.
Yeah, I can see, throughout 2022 and into 23, it's going to be a constant change. We need to keep it ahead of the changes in the environment and listening to the industry and listening to the voices of our current team and our potential team. And it's time to get creative. So I really appreciate that you've shared some really great creative ways to think outside of the box in terms of wages. I want to suggest and warn, though, that before you do that at whim, that you have a really clear plan to make that work for your business financially. Because I think if we at whim offer high wages and lots of perks and things, and we haven't done the math, we don't have a clear plan or roadmap to financially make that work and let that team member succeed, achieve bonuses and targets and achieve the goals, then the business suffers. And while you might have team members, if you're not getting paid or you can't afford to pay the rent or the stock, there's no point having team members when your business is at a loss. So be creative, but do due diligence that what you can afford, or that if you have to change your model, that there's a plan in place to help the team member succeed to that new level of expectation to make the math work.
I agree. I agree totally. As a business owner, we need to know the figures and our bottom line the whole time.
Yeah.
So if you're not great at doing that, I'd get an accountant or someone that really does know that.
Because, or a business coach.
Or a business coach who can actually help you through that. No, it's true, because we can't just throw money at people, and I'm a business owner as well. So you have to look at all the facts and figures, and then, okay, happy to pay you this, but these are your targets. And I'm here to educate and coach you through and do an induction so we get you to, producing that income so it can cover your wages. We want you to stay here forever. Happy to pay you, but I need to coach you and train you. And that will come to you.
And I think, it's not going to be unexpected or surprising for clients. Ultimately, you're going to have to pay the price. And not in a negative way. We can still serve them beautifully, provide a great environment. But again, it's got the math has to work, and the client ultimately is the one that's paying the bill and paying the wages. So I imagine that maybe finally our industry will actually, in terms of pricing, elevate to where it should have been, because I feel like over the last probably in the, well, I don't know, this is only far back as I've looked, in the last 30 to 40 years, we really haven't increased our prices at the rate of everything else comparatively as an industry, I feel. So that puts a lot of pressure on our wage, what we can afford to pay, and profit margins as a business owner. So I think now is the time that we can get away with actually getting our prices to a reasonable amount that makes sense for us and the clients. There's always going to be a few, there's going to be a handful that are going to complain, but for the majority, they understand. We're not a charity.
That's right. And, CPI price increases every year. And I think we have to, and as a business coach, I'm sure you help your clients with this as well, Larissa, we have to understand our worth. And if we lose some clients, that's fine. It just opens up the door for other clients to come in that will appreciate us as well. And I'm not scared.
I love this sentiment of knowing our worth and charging our worth. But I actually think it's beyond worth. It actually comes down to math, because we can feel that we're worth this, that, or the other. But I actually believe when we let emotions get in the way of our business, we're making too many emotional decisions about our business, and we feel we're worth this, or we feel we're worth that, or I feel I should charge my worth. But actually, what's the dollars say? The dollars you deserve to, at a minimum, earn as a business owner what any other employee is earning, plus a little bit more for the effort, the stress, the risk that you take, and the hours that you lie in bed thinking about your business. And so it's not about your worth, it's about basic math and just surviving like a human. Now, if you can do that and get paid really well, and you can provide an amazing service, then your worth definitely goes up. But basic math to start with, right, Sheryl?
I love it. I think we always have to use our business head. My brother taught me this many, many years ago. Always use your business head. Never use emotion in business.
Doesn't go.
No, it doesn't match. And I think, unfortunately, and I've seen this a lot in our industry, people use their emotion, because in this industry, a lot of people are creative and emotional. And whereas the corporate industry is normally more structured and business-like. So if we can help our salon owners use their business head more, I think that's going to help a lot as well.
And we don't have to let go of our heartbeats and our emotion and our caring. Like, we can sit with our client and look at her eye to eye and have the best relationship. Same with our team members. But we shouldn't let it cross the line when it comes to legal obligations, mathematical obligations, making ends meet, and everybody, getting paid, for example. That's when it shouldn't cross over. And I think sometimes those lines get blurred. Let's talk about the next things. We've talked about wages and getting creative around that, and being data-driven rather than emotional-driven around the numbers. Let's talk a little bit about flexible working, because I feel like that is the other thing in this kind of environment that's shifting towards working from home, and what's a life worth when we're under pressure in these kind of COVID environments. I feel it. I call it the lifestyle effect. Everybody suddenly has woken up and thought, I don't want to work like a crazy woman or man. I want to have a life. I only get one go, and that's putting pressure on our industry to work more of a lifestyle. Like, when team don't want to do late nights anymore, they don't want to work on Saturdays every Saturday anymore. This puts some tremendous pressure on us as business owners. What are your thoughts around providing flexible work hours in a typically after hours peak time industry?
I think, unfortunately, we have to go with what's happening in the world, and understand that these are the issues. We need to address them and be flexible with some Saturdays off. No one likes to hear that, but Sheryl, that's our busiest time of the year. Well, wouldn't you be better off letting them have once a month off or once a fortnight off, and having them in the salon 2 Saturdays? We need to understand that people don't want to work crazy hours anymore. We've had time to reflect over the last 2 years to understand that we want a difference. We need that work lifestyle. We want to spend more time with our partners and enjoy life as well. So I think we have to just go with it, Larissa, unfortunately, and work around it and implement that into our business. That, okay, and talk to our staff, well, what really suits you? What do you want? Okay. And then you might find someone who's a new mum who just wants to work a Saturday when hubby's at home and a Thursday night. I think we really need to put down our walls a little bit instead of going, no, this is only the thing that I'm only going to accept, and go, okay, I need to open up to be a little bit more flexible and rearrange my business a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, I agree. I had a team of 30 and we had 18 chairs only. And so I got very good at creative rostering. And it was a good skill to learn that is super useful right now, because actually people can work all sorts of interesting combinations of hours. We don't need to do typically 9 to 5 or 9 till 8 or anything like that. There are 7 days of the week that we can play with, and let's go with 12 hours in any given day that we can also play with. So we can be creative to give everybody what they want and what they need. And my only other thing that I'll add to that great point, Sheryl, is I think the one thing that will save us in being able to provide a great, flexible, highly paid environment for our team is that we can't forget that people need to work towards success. So, for example, if somebody comes and says, I only want to work 9 till 2, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that's great, but probably it's going to limit how quickly you can grow a clientele and get busy and the type of client you're going to work. So if this is a program that we run in Salon Mastery, it's called Do I Get a Pay Rise? And it's a roadmap for team members to a pathway to success. But typically, I'm going to be a little bit sort of controversial. Typically, you can't come and build a clientele 9 to 2, 3 days of the week, right off the bat, and earn $1 million an hour. Like, that's the hard road. The easier road would be come when if you're building a clientele, come when clients want to come, which is typically the odd hours. And as you build and you grow and you raise your prices and you achieve more, you can start to work the beautiful hours that you want to work, because that's when clients will come. So I think we don't want to lose our commercial edge, because if we want to pay them $40 an hour, but we're not going to give them new clients because they won't work in peak hours, sure, we're giving the team member what they want, but we're actually not giving them the roadmap to success.
Exactly. And I agree. It's going to be a win-win for both parties. It's okay.
Exactly.
Happy to pay you $40 an hour if you're looking after our clients, whatever. But if you're not, then you've got to start on this. And, you're only working 9 to 2, so maybe you're only on $30 an hour or something, like they would working in an admin office. So it's got to be a flexibility, and this has got to be right from the onset when you have your little interview and chat with them. What do you want to achieve? Let's achieve.
Be results driven. Because if you've got someone who can't do they want the $1 million, but they can't do the work, doesn't match.
Doesn't match.
Work towards the $1 million. You don't get the $1 million. It's a bit of a sign of the times of instant gratification, maybe. Like I've got a 15-year-old son. Bless him. Hopefully he won't listen to this. 15-year-old son, maybe in a few years, who, finds it hard to watch YouTubers with their $1 million success, and there's a big gap between I want the mansion now because there's some 17-year-old who's got a mansion somewhere, and the pathway to get there. And I think it's the same kind of thing. I want the lifestyle. I don't want to work the long hours. I want to earn $40 and $50 an hour, but I want it now, but actually I don't want to do the work to get there. It's like, hang on a sec. Let me show you the roadmap to actually achieve that so you can do that. Because otherwise your business pays the price, and ultimately so does the client.
Yeah, I love that. And it's right from the beginning. What do you want to earn? What do you want to achieve? And let's do this together.
Do the work. Yeah.
Let's do, in the only way to make money is, I was watching Yellowstone. I don't know if you watch it. It's on Stan. It's great with Kevin Costner.
When they go camping?
No, there's
the
girl teaches the little boy. There's only certain ways to make money. And it's true. You either inherit it, you're a crook, or you work hard. And the most important way is normally to work hard, because you don't want to end up in jail, and if you inherit it, that's good luck. But it's hard work. That's all it is. Building a business, making money. You are not going to become a millionaire overnight unless you're lucky enough to win cross lotto. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. That's the only way to do it overnight. I do believe there's a fourth one, and that's work smart. It's a little bit of work hard, but work it like, don't slog. Do it smart. Like, do the work, but do the smart work. Don't do the slog work, because I think those days are over. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the last one, and that is keeping the people. We've got the people, we're paying them well, we're giving them flexible work hours, but we're showing them a pathway to success. How do we hang on to our people? Because it's kind of like a bit of a lumpy environment right now.
Okay. I keep on going back to this because I used to have a dating agency and a relationship agency.
I don't know that I knew that about you.
Okay. So whether we're in business or whether we're in a personal relationship, it's exactly the same. You've done the work, you've got them, now you've got to keep them. It's ongoing. It's like in a personal relationship, you find them, you don't do the work, they're gone. It's the same in a business relationship. You've got them, you keep working at that relationship every single day, and you keep listening to them. You don't just have staff meetings once a month with a group of people and expect them to voice their opinions. You've got to keep
talk at them.
Yeah, no talking at them. You listen to them as well, because they're a human being. You want to keep them in your life. You've got to respect them. You've got to listen to them. You've got to keep coaching. You've got to keep mentoring. Keep that relationship open. Otherwise, they're out the door.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. My biggest takeaway from that is that they're a human being, do the listening. I remember a time as a business owner where I felt the pressure to show up, and probably the result was talking at them, but to lead them. There was a heavy weight on my shoulders. And then one day I realized that actually I don't need to lead them. I just need to listen to them and then help them to succeed. Actually, I don't need to carry all of that weight of knowing all of the answers all of the time.
No, because we're learning and evolving and growing, and lead by example. Be a leader, show them what to do. It's like when you have children, you just lead by example and they'll follow you. And it's the same with your team members. Just keep leading, keep listening, keep evolving with them, keep that relationship always.
And we talked a little bit before we hopped on this podcast, Sheryl, about kind of security around, fear of what's going to happen next. If there's another lockdown, or if somebody gets COVID, or if all of these kind of unknowns, how do we keep them out of that fear mindset and keep them safe when we're a business owner? We're thinking about that ourselves, I guess.
Yeah, I would probably have a really good chat to my accountant as well, and sort of say, what can we implement so I give them that stability? Get your facts as well, and then say, well, this is what we would do for you, to keep you as well. I highly doubt now, that's my intuition, that we're going to go into any more lockdowns and things like that from now on. I think the rest of the world's opened up. I think we can open up now as well. But it is pretty scary when you're thinking about, the unknown, and everyone's scared of the unknown. So we've just got to work with them and give them that security of knowing that you're going to look after them and you want them to stay with you.
I think that's the hard bit, Sheryl, is when we're fearful and it's unknown for ourselves, how do we front up and say to people, don't worry, girl, I got your back. We got you, I'm looking after you. Even if you don't know how to do it anyway, I think it's really important that we're I guess, for me, it's trusting that in the moment when things are tricky that I'll work out what to do. And that gives me the confidence to say to my team, don't worry about it. I've got you. I might not have a plan right now, but I'll work one out and we'll do it together.
We'll do it together. And it's like your friends, isn't it? Or your children when you're going through hell and back. You may not have all the answers, but don't worry, we'll work this together, and just having that knowing and that friendship with your friends or your kids, and having that with your team as well. Look, I'm here for you. We'll work through this together. I don't know what all the answers are. None of us do, but, having someone as a leader that you can trust, that they will look after you and they'll do their very best to make sure that everything's okay. We're not God above, but we'll just be there for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all we can do.
Exactly right. Now, being a business owner, what is a quote or a mantra or something that keeps you sane when times are tough? Because let's face it, being a business owner is hard.
What do I do? Okay, a couple of things I do. It's not just one thing I do. I keep myself really, really healthy because it's like the captain of the ship. I keep myself really healthy. I do yoga every day. I walk every day. My life gets chaotic and the phone doesn't stop ringing. I stop and I go for a little walk.
Good on you.
I don't listen to gossip. I don't listen to trash or negativity. I read great books like Mark Boris. I listen to funny things like Billy Connolly. There is no one thing I do, but everything. I only eat really well. I just really look after myself. And that's the best advice I can give anybody is, it's like when you're on the plane and the thing goes down and you have to put the mask on. You've got to look after yourself first. So there is no one podcast I listen to. There is no one book I read. I look after myself. I inform myself a lot of business decisions and I deal with my accountant a lot and I know what's going on in the world and I research a lot and look after myself.
Good on you. You mentioned a book. Do you want to mention that again and who the author was?
I read all of Mark Boris's books from Yellow Brick Road. I think he's one of the toughest guys I know. He's got resilience. He works hard and smart. And if you want to read anything, I would read him.
Awesome. Amazing. I love it. We'll put a link in the show notes of this episode to Mark. Thank you, Sheryl, for sharing your words of wisdom. That was a great conversation kind of about the reality of things and how it's changing rapidly and what we need to do. So I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
That's all right. Thanks for having me.